Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, today we are tackling a subject that literally affects every single one of us, yet it's something most people completely misunderstand. We're going to be decoding complex Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment case law, and essentially transforming it into actionable constitutional survival scripts. My goal today is to empower you. We are going to clearly map out exactly how your rights work in the real world when the pressure is really on. So let me ask you this. Do you know exactly what to say if the cops come knocking at your door? It's a seriously high-stakes scenario. Your heart rate spikes, your mind races, and, human nature kicks in. You just want to explain yourself. You want to prove you're a good, law-abiding citizen. But here is the absolutely crucial point. Trying to simply talk your way out of it is factually the fastest way to surrender your constitutional rights. Police officers are highly trained experts at interrogation. Every single word you say is being cataloged. So today, we're going to replace that panic with preparation. All right, so here is our roadmap for today's explainer. Section 1, the knock and talk. Section 2, surviving a traffic stop. Section 3, the smell test traps. And finally, Section 4, your digital castle. Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, the knock and talk. Protecting your home base. We're going to start by exposing a clever and honestly highly effective investigative tactic. First, we really need to understand a critical legal concept called curtilage. Under the Fourth Amendment, the area immediately surrounding your home, so we're talking your front porch, your back patio, that is just as protected as your actual living room. The Supreme Court has ruled that an officer walking up to your door without a warrant has no more legal authority to linger there than a FedEx driver, a Girl Scout, or anyone else delivering a package. They operate on a simple license to approach. They are literally just hoping to bait you into a conversation so they can gain entry without a warrant. Do not fall for the illusion of police authority on your own front porch. So the whole trick is knowing exactly how to respond, right? Well, here is your exact protocol. If you absolutely must answer the door, rule number 1. Stay inside the house. Stepping outside immediately surrenders control of your castle and opens you right up to detentions or searches. Instead, keep a barrier, like a locked screen door, between you and the officer. State clearly, "I do not consent to any searches," and then simply exercise your right to remain silent or tell them to leave your property. Remember, unless they have a signed warrant or there's an absolute immediate emergency, they have to leave when you tell them to. Their license to be there instantly expires. Now, get this. You also need to be aware of a shocking but actually routine tactic. Officers covering up or disabling doorbell cameras during a knock and talk. If you see this happening, you need to know for sure that this is entirely illegal. By manipulating your property and interfering with your possessory interests, courts can view this as an illegal seizure under the Fourth Amendment or just straight-up criminal trespass. Keep your doors locked and let those cameras record. Moving on to Section 2. Surviving a traffic stop, defending your vehicle. This is an incredibly vulnerable location where police rely heavily on the illusion of cooperation to completely bypass the Constitution. Picture this. The exact moment those red and blue lights flash, you might panic and quickly reach over to grab your registration from the glove box, or maybe shove a bag out of the way. Stop. In law enforcement training, these are categorized as furtive movements, and it is the absolute easiest trap to fall into. When an officer sees you ducking or reaching, they are going to immediately claim officer safety. They'll argue that your sudden movements made them fear you were reaching for a weapon. And guess what? That gives them the legal justification to rip you out of the car, pat you down, and search your vehicle without a warrant. The solution here? Keep your hands calmly and visibly on the steering wheel at all times. Now, what if the officer starts asking you endless questions that have absolutely nothing to do with your speeding ticket? Well, there is an ultimate constitutional anchor script you absolutely must memorize. Am I free to go, or am I being detained? The Supreme Court has actually ruled that cops cannot indefinitely prolong a traffic stop beyond the time it takes to handle the original violation. By asking this specific question, you force the officer to legally commit. If they say you are free to go, just drive away. If they say you're detained, immediately invoke your right to remain silent. All right, Section 3, the smell test traps. Alcohol, marijuana, and probable cause. Here, we're going to look at the highly psychological traps they use to bait drivers right into self-incrimination. I smell marijuana. It's a phrase that's been used for decades to bypass the Fourth Amendment, right? But the legal landscape surrounding this phrase is shifting really rapidly. First off, courts now recognize a major difference between burnt and fresh odors. The burnt smell can linger for days, making it incredibly hard to tie to current active possession in that specific vehicle. Furthermore, in a lot of states across the country, especially where it's been legalized, the odor of marijuana alone is just no longer legally sufficient to establish probable cause to tear apart your car. They actually need more evidence of impairment. And then, of course, there's the alcohol trap. The officer leans in and says the 5 words designed to totally ruin your night: "I think I smell alcohol." Now remember, alcohol is actually odorless. It's the beverage that smells. This is a very targeted interrogation technique. If you respond by saying, "Officer, I only had 1 beer with dinner," you might think you're defending yourself, but legally, you literally just handed them a full-blown confession. Instead, memorize this exact phrasing: "Officer, I exercise my constitutional right not to answer questions about what I've had to eat or drink." Be polite, for sure, but be extremely firm. And this brings us to honestly the most dangerous trap of all: consent. Cops are going to say something like, "Well, if you have nothing to hide, you don't mind if I take a quick look, right?" Guys, it is an illusion. Giving consent does not make you look innocent. It gives the police carte blanche to literally dismantle your car on the side of the highway for an hour. You must continually debunk this illusion of cooperation. Always state clearly, "I refuse consent to search." Which leads us to Section 4, your digital castle, protecting the device in your pocket. We've covered your home and your car, but what about the device you carry with you everywhere? So here's how this trap usually springs during a routine stop. An officer spots your phone in the console and just casually asks, "Hey, just unlock this real quick to prove you weren't texting." They're relying heavily on your ingrained desire to be a cooperative, law-abiding citizen. But remember this: your smartphone is essentially a portable filing cabinet containing the entirety of your private life. We're talking your photos, your bank records, your personal messages. Handing it over unlocked is literally the exact same thing as giving them the keys to your front door and telling them to just poke around. So here is your digital shield. You look at the officer and you tell them, "Officer, I exercise my constitutional right not to answer questions about my private property. I do not consent to any search of my electronic devices." By stating this out loud, you are firmly invoking your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, as well as your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches. You have a possessory interest in your phone, and unless they have a warrant signed by a judge, you absolutely do not have to open that digital door. Let's wrap up with this really powerful thought. Cops will very often try to guilt you, kind of implying that invoking your rights means you're hiding something criminal. But I want you to step back and ask yourself this final question. If exercising your constitutional rights makes you look guilty, then what exactly is the point of even having them? The answer is, they don't make you look guilty. They make you protected. Your rights are your shield. Never ever be afraid to use them politely, calmly, and firmly. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, stay prepared, and I'll see you next time.